All right, the NBA is getting hot and heavy once again. Even with one of the conference finals series ending, we have one that could be on the brink of history. I don't know. Let's get into that. Talk a little NBA draft lottery again. We had a prominent player of a generation retire. The NBA coaching positions are the vacant ones might be filled before we know it. There's a lot of fun stuff with that. So joining us tonight, fresh faces, new ideas. What's up?
Hey man, you couldn't see I'm chewing. They should have introduced the other guy first.
Oh,
uh,
I literally did see that. My bad. Thank you,
it's all good.
Zoom, on that switch. But then for the other non-chewer, we'll have Alex Young here. What's going on?
What's up? What's up? It's good to be back. I know I missed last week, or yeah, I was at draft lottery. We're going to talk about that a little bit. It was a fun, exciting time. But I'm happy to talk some conference finals playoffs right now.
Yes, we are. So let's get into it right away, guys. The Eastern Conference Finals at this moment. We're recording on Wednesday, the 24th. They are going to play game 5 when this drops on Thursday. Up 3-1. The Miami Heat were dominating the Boston Celtics for the first 3 games. Game 4 goes around, and the Celtics pull off the victory, keep their season alive. Game 5 in their building on Thursday night. And now the question is, can the Boston Celtics come back? Can they win the next 3 and pull off the first ever 3-0 series comeback in NBA history? I want to start with this one, actually. I actually think the Boston Celtics, this specific team in this specific situation, I think they could actually do it. The reason why is they are much better on paper. They do have a home court advantage for 2 of the next 3 games. And I honestly think they're really motivated. And despite probably their huge weakness of the coaching decisions that Joe Mazzulla provides, I actually think this team can pull it off. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat win one, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics make literal NBA history. And I'm not a fan whatsoever of the Celtics franchise. But I really think, especially when we saw Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez, part of the last Boston team, or part of the last Boston comeback, and sorry, part of the last huge 3-0, the only other 3-0 comeback in Boston sports history, a mere, scary to say, 17 years ago. I just knew when you see Jeter and A-Rod in the building that maybe the sports gods are going to be on Boston side. So let's toss it to Faces and Alex. Do you think the Boston Celtics can complete this comeback, or do you think the Heat are advancing?
The Heat are advancing. like,
Yeah.
like if if we were talking about if they were like 2-1, maybe it'd be different. But
Mm.
this Boston team is, um, it just doesn't have enough heart. Like this is it. Like you can't run it back with this team again. Um, I mean, granted, this is their third coach in their fourth conference finals, but they they can't get over the hump. And it's not like that's like you know, a terrible thing to be. Like they were incredibly successful. They were essentially as successful as you could have been without winning a title. Like there's no shame in that. You still have a young like you don't got to strip it down for parts. You still have pieces. You still can build around Tatum. Rob Williams is still there. Like you got to figure. I mean, it's just Jaylen Brown. That's what you got to figure out about Jaylen Brown and the coaching stuff. But I do not have faith in this Celtics team, especially the way they rolled over in Game 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you like when we've seen a couple games get rolled over, like Phoenix got rolled in their last game. If you get rolled in like a must-win game that's not an elimination game, that's a really bad sign. And
Really?
usually that's how
Um,
it ends.
yeah, I agree. As much as I think this Celtics team's talented enough to force a game 7, or come back in this series, I don't see them winning the series. Um, I disagree with everything. Just seeing how they laid over in game 3 was the turning point for me. Um, I think they can win at home, but I'm looking at their first quarter to see how they come out. If they show any signs of coming out flat, it's a wrap. They got the thing with the Celtics that I was concerned about too was, did they put all their energy into game 4 and then they're not going to come out with the same kind of intensity and do the same things that worked for game 5. But as great as the story would be to be this team to come back down 3-0, there's a reason why no team in the NBA has come back from a 3-0 deficit to win this series. And I think that's going to continue. As much as I think the Celtics team can get back in the series and fight for it, I think Jimmy Butler is just going to be too much. I know Gabe Vincent got injured, but he's a incredible player. He's been incredible this postseason run. I think he's going to play despite being injured. Bam has turned it around this postseason. He's changed my opinions on him. So I think Jimmy is just going to be playoff Jimmy and come into the next game or whatever the case might be, and he's going to have one of his signature performances to end this series. So as talented as Boston is, I just don't see them being able to overcome this deficit.
Here's my thing to add on to the dissenting opinion. So we have game 5 in Boston. Boston's actually a 8-point favorite at home. And let me ask you, we'll start with this. Do you guys think they could at least win game 5?
Yes. I think they can win game 5. I don't see them winning the series.
But like the difference between winning the game 5 and like between losing this series, like I think it would be better for them to lose, because like if you win game 5 and you lose the series 4-2 and 6, you're like, okay, we were actually closer than theirs. A couple of hot shooting nights in that one game we sucked that really turned it around. It's like, but you weren't like this series wouldn't be closer, like as close as like a 4-2 would imply that it was. Like this Celtics team has some real flaws to it. Most notably, what the fuck is wrong with Jaylen Brown? I don't know if he's hurt or like it's not even that he just can't shoot, because he's shooting like 10% from the 3-point line. He can't guard anybody.
You also can't hit free throws right now too, which is
like
crazy too.
And then there's like real issues with this team right now. So I don't know. It's time to blow it up. Like because they're the guys who are going to improve. I mean, how much better are they going to like realistically get like where is the improvement coming in this team? Like I'm pretty sure you've maxed out everything you're going to get from these individual players. You need a shakeup.
Now, the other thing there, and you make some valid points, and I do think I think if they were going to lose, they should have won on Tuesday night. And usually, and even Jeff Van Gundy alluded to the fact that almost all NBA teams who are in that position usually just fold mentally and cause them to lose. But this Heat team on the road did fight, and you have. And let me just confirm, and you've had most of your players all hit at least double digits in scoring. I think that could be some factor there. And if Jason Tatum has some legacies again in him, and I know it will take, almost everything out of his will to do that, that if they could somehow pull off the game 6 victory and go to Boston on Memorial Day night, game 7, to return to the NBA Finals, I think that, though it's a daunting task, I just think it's not impossible.
Yeah, I'm not. As I said before, I don't think it's impossible. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
There is a path for Boston to do that. I mean, they have the formula. They have to play the same way they did in Game 4. That's a lot to ask, and that's also with Jaylen Brown still not playing great. Like,
assuming Tatum, they suddenly forget how to shoot.
And that too, like it's like there's so many contributing factors into it that, like, the Heat had an off shooting night. Tatum had a great game. Again, we've seen Tatum with his back as well, great performances. But that you're gonna ask a lot for him the way Jaylen Brown's playing right now. Like, so if Tatum has an off night, then it pretty much their season's done. So, like, it's a daunting task. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't think it's going to happen, just because there's so many factors that I don't think lean in Boston's favor to make this comeback. If Jaylen Brown was playing like Jaylen Brown in the regular season, then yeah, absolutely, I could see it happen because he usually picks up when Tatum's having an off night. But the fact that he's not picking up for Tatum is, I think, one of the huge things. And also that he having an off night the other night kind of allowed, Boston to climb back into it. So they have to play scrappy and win ugly games and pull it off. But like I said, that's why I think it's just too tough for Boston to overcome a team like Miami that is equally going to play as scrappy and equally be as tough as a hustle team as we've seen this postseason.
Yeah, and they know like they're so much like more prepared to come into it an ugly game because that's basically how they've won like every game the entire season. They're not a high scoring team until this point. Also, it's worth noting some of the stupid shit that's been happening in this. I think I saw a stat. Duncan Robinson had dribbled 10 times this season, and he's already scored 3 separate baskets off of taking somebody to the hoop. Like you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And then the other one, and this is just like the other like absurd thing about this franchise is if they win this series, Pat Riley will have either been a player, a coach, or like the head of an organization in 19 of the 75 finals that have ever happened in NBA history. Like that's just absurdity. Like how do you
Yeah, just about 35%. Wow.
It's like
He's the man.
An absurd like ridiculousness that he has. Like kudos to this fucking Heat team, man. Like this is a flip switch team. Like their shooting was so bad prior to these playoffs. They were like 27th and now they're like the best in the league. It's just absurd.
This was a play-in team as well, and going as the 8th seed, that's going to count. And yeah, trust me, I hope I'm wrong. I just would like to see what the Celtics could pull off, especially if Game 6, if there is a Game 6, a lot will matter then. But we will see ultimately where it goes in the East. But one thing's for sure is that the West is decided. The Denver Nuggets sweep the Los Angeles Lakers. They win it in 4 games. Jokic is your MVP of the Western Conference Finals. They have a solid 10-day break until they play again on the 1st of June, and they clinch their first conference finals win. And they are going to the finals for the first time in their franchise history. And Lakers did put up a fight in the end. It seemed that LeBron, at least for the first half, was the old LeBron. But everything else went back in the favor of the Nuggets. Jokic with his Larry Bird style long-range shots just keep coming in at the right time. Jamal Murray has been making up for lost time with his injury history in the past few years, and he's playing like a monster out there. I mean, people are going to forget that he took a video of himself getting it on. And now that he's just playing so well, if you guys remember that. And then we just see Mike Malone being having a redemption story himself, the son of a coach. And this is a pretty cool story. If you're a Nuggets fan, we'll start with Faces. You've been a fan of this team for a while, or at least this specific Nuggets team all season long. And your prophecy looks like it will almost be fulfilled. And I guess my question to you to start it off is, whether it's the Heat or the Celtics, do you think the Nuggets will dominate those teams like they have been in the West all playoffs long?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This team is playing at such a stupid high level, and Jokic is he's torn through literally everything that he's seen, and he's just obliterated it. He's so fucking good. Like just the little things that he does, and like the shooting. Just the first off, there's the step back moon ball threes that he went 3 for 4 on. In like, there's nothing you can do about guarding them. Second, there's like he doesn't need to um he doesn't need to like score a bunch of points. I mean, he can. We had the 52-point game against the Suns, but like the Heat aren't going to be able to stop it. Like Anthony Davis has been the best defender in the postseasons, and he was able to figure out Anthony Davis pretty easily. Like it's it doesn't matter. And also, like, they're all playing at such a high level. Like, Jamal Murray is playing at an incredibly high level. Aaron Gordon is playing at a very high level. Bruce Brown is playing at a really good level. KCP is playing like stupid KCP. And Michael Porter Jr. is doing just like he's fearless. He's figuring out how to rebound. I said this to you guys, and I want to say it was game 3. And I think this is the thing that should scare a lot of the rest of the league is the fact that Michael Porter Jr. is like 22.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know how to pass. And like he still can't really dribble, um, which was kind of a knock on him coming out of college. But like he could get so much better. Like a lot of the guys, they're understanding how to cut around Jokic, but he can like take them to another level. Like he is paying off, and he is busts that, and he's huge. Like he is a big dude. Like this is a good Nuggets team, and one, I was right. Yes, they were going to the finals. I said that when because I believed in them. Um, they're just this is the like this should scare teams kind of similar to those Warrior runs because there's no reason for this team not to just get better. Like they still have most of their picks. They can still package them for somebody else. They're young guys. They're all under contract. Like they and Jokic, the way he plays, there's no reason he can't play at something close to this level till he's like 50. Like he's basically Dirk if Dirk could pass and was heavier. Like that's the comparison. Like there's no reason for him to like ever drop off. So as long as you orbit him with guys who are smart and can and score and basically cover up the fact that he's not he's not like an Embiid type defender, but he's still a good defender. Like you're gonna just be successful. He's just that fucking good. Like this is, and I said this last pod, I'm gonna repeat this every single pod. This MVP will be remembered as the Karl Malone MVP because everyone knows it should have gone to Jokic, but Embiid got it because Jokic just they took the last month of the season off. But I mean, he's the best player in the world.
The brink of a dynasty. I like that.
Like, I completely agree. I'm so happy to see Jokic be on the national stage and everyone finally giving him the flowers he deserves. I'm excited for this. He's just so fun to watch. And that's just the scary thing about this Nuggets team is that he doesn't need to have like 30 points in order for his team to have success. He can have 15 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and the teams they're still whooping everyone's ass.
Yeah, and you saw that especially in these last 2 games that he got his triple double, but it wasn't a huge 40-point game. It was enough.
And the great thing about Jokic too, right, is that he's not a selfish basketball player. We see that in his play, but he's so smart that he knows if it's like Jamal Murray's night, where like Jamal's hot, he's okay to defer. Where we've seen superstars in the past need to get their stats. And he's the type of guy. It's like, oh, Jamal's hot. Where can I get the ball in this? Like, where I'm getting the ball in his spots. Porter's hitting threes. I'm getting him the ball when he needs it. I don't need to just chuck up shots to get my 30, right? And he's unbelievable. I'm happy that everyone's now. I don't know why it took it 3 months, but everyone to finally realize like all these BS comments on his stat padding and all that other stuff, like throw it out the window. This guy is just incredible. So,
and also like when we talk about how smart he is, like game 3, the refs were clearly trying to extend this. Like they were
yeah.
And the fact that he had 3 fouls in the first half and didn't foul out of that game is like, and I'm pretty sure he played like most of the second half.
He did,
not all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like he got those 2 charge fouls because they basically let LeBron do whatever they wanted to him. Yeah. But he still didn't foul out. And like my biggest gripe with this team is sometimes Jamal Murray hunts too much. Like there are possessions where like he's trying to do too much, and it's just like give it to Jokic, go run around in the circle, and he'll make something happen. Yeah. Like Jamal Murray is good. Like when there's Jokic isn't on the floor and it's like him and Brown and Gordon at the 5, like those teams, that's when he should do it. I just think a little bit too much Jamal Murray hunting would be my biggest gripe. And look, this team is really fucking good. Yeah. It just is. Yeah. Like
simple as that.
Yeah, and
they're deep. They have the talent. Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, like they've showed out to at times in the postseason. I mean, I'm happy for the Nuggets fans because it took them forever to finally get to the finals, so it's great to see how excited they are. But yeah, it's just this team's really good. And like we said, we'll talk Lakers in a second too. But like props to the Lakers. I know they got swept and it looks bad on paper, but they play that Nuggets team tough. They didn't get like shelled in 4 games.
Yeah, there was no games that shelled them.
They played them tough. So like props to them, but Jokic and them were just on another level. And I agree with the Jamal Murray stuff. There's times where he takes the ball a little bit too much and then gets those lucky like 5-second left on the shot clock, like post fadeaway mid-range shots that he's been able to hit. But there's moments where I'm like, just get it to Jokic, please. He'll reset for you, and you'll get probably a better look if you reset instead of like trying to heave one up. And luckily, half the time it's gone in. But yeah, this Nuggets team's really good, and they're going to be rested up and getting healed up.
They're going to be so rested.
They're going to be they're going to be really well rested, and I think that's going to work wonders for all these guys. And I agree with the Porter stuff too. I think Porter is only going to get better, and having a guy like Jokic to learn from is only going to do wonders for him. Because imagine that guy being able to be also a playmaker alongside Jokic with his shooting ability and what the defense draws to him. This team is set for a really long time. They're probably going to run the West for at least the next like 3 to 5 years. And it's going to be fun to watch because Jokic is just so fun to watch. And he's always going to be in the MVP candidate going forward because he's just that good.
So you agree too, possibly the brink of a dynasty with Denver.
Potentially. Well, I don't know. They got to win one to start get the ball rolling. Yes. But you know, they're definitely on. I would say it's tough, but like I don't want to compare Jokic to like LeBron, but like I could see them making a lot of finals appearances over the next few years. Like I'm not going to be surprised if they're in the finals like every other year or something, like where they're just consistently there. Like I think that how good this team is. They're only going to add to it going forward.
You know,
this doesn't feel like a one-off team. Like like a team that just kind of like snuck it, like the Raptors in 2019 with like kind of It doesn't feel like this feels like it's a sustained success. And like similar to the last time, I think like really the last time we kind of saw this was like Oklahoma City, and then they traded Harden. Like there's like, Denver is built, like they're built. They're under contract for years. They're not gonna have any cap issues. Guys are gonna come here. Like Jeff Green is like 39 years old.
Yeah.
Like they'll find somebody else to replace Jeff Green. They have that rookie kid who's played big minutes. Kid's gonna get better. They'll find a backup center. Maybe they'll find like an actual point guard. That or some like Mike Conley type. Who
there's some guy that can just handle it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But like this is how it is.
You know, speaking of LeBron and the Lakers, there's 2 things. One, I was surprised on the very last play of Game 4 when LeBron tried to drive it up the lane and Jamal Murray created that turnover with him. Even with as little contact as possible, it seemed. I was surprised the refs didn't call that just to see if they could extend it a little more.
That was such a good defensive play, though. Like, it's just like...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The fact that Jamal Murray didn't back down from that, like, how many times have we seen in our lifetime that same attack from LeBron? Like, drive left to the block and, like, bank some game-winning shot in. And the fact that Jamal stayed there enough that Aaron Gordon can come down and deflect it. I know, like, you could say there might have been a little bit of contact, but just how good of a defensive play that was.
I thought exactly.
I think people would have lost their minds. Yeah. I think people would have lost their minds if they would have ended up calling a foul on that. Because, there was like a little bump, if you will, but it wasn't a foul. It was a hell of a defensive play.
It wasn't like a great play either. Like,
it was really rushed. Yeah.
So, like, the thing with this Lakers team is, holy shit, is LeBron still really good? Like, like he needed surgery like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And he still did that. And the craziest thing is, like, I told you guys this, but like watching him in that second half, he was clearly gassed.
Yeah.
And like, I can't remember
38 years old.
Yeah. But like he's always been in such good shape. And Al Horford was talking on, I think it might've been like to JJ Redick or to Paul George's podcast where he was talking about the his last year in Cleveland, like the 2018 finals, when LeBron played every minute and LeBron was like sitting on the bench at like the end of the game and he still looked fine. Like he looked gassed in this game. Like the closest comparison I've ever seen to BB was when he was cramping in 2013. Jesus, that was literally a decade ago against that Spurs team. Like that's the last time I remember seeing him tired. But like, holy shit, is he good? But like this Lakers team has more questions now. Obviously, there's a big one we'll talk about, but like prior to this series, they were pretty set on, we're going to bring back Rui, we're going to bring back Reeves, we're going to bring back Russell. I don't think they're going to bring Russell back either.
No,
I don't
you can't bring him back.
I don't think you can bring him back.
That.
Yeah. Because it was bad, man. Like he was bad in this series, and like I guess you can sign and trade him again. But this is kind of like what he did last time he was there, where he like, especially when LeBron got into that thing with Aaron Gordon, he's just sitting there shooting up threes. Like that's it, man. You can't be doing that. But yeah, this Lakers team. I mean, they found a interesting like way to win. It's kind of built on the same way, but you need another big guy. You got to hope Anthony Davis is healthy, and I think they have the ability now to lean back on whoever ends up replacing Russell, whether it's Kyrie or Fred VanVleet or whatever they do with that, and lean on the young guys. So LeBron doesn't have to play as much. And then, you bring in a backup center or something so that you could take 80 games off, things like that. So, I mean, they have an interesting core now. Now, obviously, they said we want to keep together. Kyle Kuzma was like, yeah, I heard that. I was like, yeah, but
I saw that tweet.
So when they blew that
core
up, the big piece that fucked them over wasn't Kyle Kuzma, it was Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, that's what it is.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of question marks around everything. But I think with this Lakers team, they just they can't rely on LeBron to be like the LeBron that we've seen our whole lives. I mean, he had an unbelievable performance, but I was mentioning you guys, like he was limping. Like there was little moments where he was limping because his feet were killing him. Towards the end of that game, and he gave him their all. But I just think, I think you keep Rui. He's shown that could be a really good role player for them. You got to keep Reeves. He got better every single game that postseason. But I agree with the addition. I think they need some more shooters or consistent shooters. They got to get like actual solid point guard that they can rely on. Again, that's tough to say rely on Kyrie in the same sentence, but that type of score, like a good score. But I think with the Lakers team too is like the health is going to be a big factor. So I think you got to get younger. Like you can't get like backup old guys like they tried a few years ago and everything fell apart. Like you have to get young talent in there to fuse with the veterans. But I think they really just need more shooting. And like LeBron's not going to play 82 games anymore. I think he's probably going to be playing like 55 to 65 at most for however more he plays, right? So you need people.
That's a lot of load management. Yeah. You're not wrong, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah,
but again, he's 38 years old. Like he can't.
He has more miles. He has more miles on him than anybody.
Exactly.
In NBA history. Like,
so you got to fine tune him. He's like the exception to the rule of load management, right? Like he's 38 years old. He'd be 39 by the start of next season. He has more miles than anyone else. Like it's okay if you sit a few games to get ready for the playoffs if the team's good, but you have to get talent to step up for when he's out. Because
I mean, how many teams if you put this version of LeBron on like 3 or 4 of these teams, they would have won the title. Like,
yeah,
like, and this is him at what, like 80% maybe.
That's maybe like 8. Yeah, that's 8. Depending on how severe, we don't know how severe the feet were. We won't know until a little while until. We might hear, he gets osteoarthritis surgery, and then you lower that percentage of what he really was on. But when he was on,
still like other than the fact that he couldn't hit a three in the series, he was still really good.
Yeah, he gave us the LeBron performance back against the wall, and the rest of the team kind of let him down. You can point the finger at AD if you want.
Story of his career.
Rui didn't play well either.
Rui didn't play well. Russell was terrible. Like, he gave a near 40-point triple double. He at 38 years old, he gave everything he could. There's no knock to him. You point the finger at a lot of other players on the Lakers team who didn't show up. So, like I said, I don't think you bring back D'Angelo. That was a failed experiment. But you just got to get some more consistent scores, and I think this Lakers team can be really, really solid. But, again,
and also not to be totally crazy, but Mo Bamba might have made a bigger difference in this series.
Yeah, I mean, he could have, if he was there fully healthy,
he could be that backup center you were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And he can there's no reason he can't learn from AD, because Mo Bamba figuring out how to be good would be a problem for the league because he's just so fucking big.
Yeah. So
there's no reason he can't be at least as good as Rudy Gobert was this season.
I mean, yeah, like I said, you can learn, you can fit in. I think that's what's going to help this team is to keep a lot of these young guys, and hopefully they do. You give them a full training camp of everyone together instead of trying to slap this thing at the trade deadline, and it worked out, and they made the postseason and made a run. You give this Lakers team a full training camp and offseason to gel and get together. I think this Lakers team could be really solid, and I think they look at this team that they don't think they're that far away. So I think if you add
hold on.
pieces,
it's not that they're not that
far away. It's I think they know
they're going to have some issues.
Yeah,
you gotta figure out how you're going to get through Jokic.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. It's I think they know that they can compete. I think it wasn't oh, the young guys are okay. I think they know they can add some stuff and hopefully go up against the Nuggets and be more competitive than they were. But yeah, I think they look at this and know oh, okay, it's not they're going to waste the last few years of LeBron potentially. I think they know, okay, if we add, this team could still be competitive in the West, and they're not going to start off 2-10 next year. I think that's kind of.
Well, I mean, if Anthony Davis is hurt, LeBron is recovering from surgery, then probably.
Yeah, that's a whole different story too. But hopefully, they make enough pieces where they don't have that bad of a start, and hope to scramble. So, yeah.
And let's make something clear. LeBron's not going anywhere. And whether he was teasing retirement rumors just to take the narrative off of him losing that some people have accused of, I think it's definitely clear he's staying. He's not going to go to the Knicks. There's actual insiders who reported that. But I just think insiders just make stuff up.
Well, hold on. It's not that he's not going to the Knicks. He's got...
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just saying that's a little report.
$90 million left on his contract. So,
literally, it was something the NBA Central said today.
Taking the year off thing kind of makes sense. But I think it's more likely that he's either doing it for some type of trades for either to get Kyrie. I think the Atlantic said that they're kicking the tires on a Trae Young trade, which if you're looking for somebody who's going to be worse at defense than D'Angelo Russell, I think the list starts with Trae Young. I like the Golden State stuff is potentially I think that's probably real. That's a real issue that he could force his way out there.
Oh, okay.
That he would go to Golden State.
Colin Cowherd had a whole thing on his open today about that.
Because we know he's reliable.
Oh yeah, but his trade proposal was interesting, but I was like, oh God, please no more.
Well, it's got to be some combination of Poole and Kuminga.
I think he said it was Poole, Kuminga. Was it Looney? No, it was Poole, Kuminga. Trying to think of who else. Wiggins.
Yeah, but here's the problem that
for LeBron. Yeah,
but if you're Golden State and you're getting LeBron, you can't give up Wiggins. Just on that fact that you don't have another wing defense. Are you going to start Moses Moody? Is he going to be that guy? You kind of need Wiggins.
Yeah. No, I know they need Wiggins, but I don't think the Lakers
to make the math work,
you need the math work, and also I don't think the Lakers would even start anywhere without getting.
I don't know. It depends on where those first round picks end up. If you're giving picks for that,
yeah.
If you're giving
those 3 in picks, then potentially, yeah, or 2 in like unprotected picks, and you could be like, oh, okay.
You definitely want unprotected picks if you trade with.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah. But like if like I know he said that like, hey, maybe I'm not going to play with my kid. I don't think that's true. Like, I think in the moment he was kind of thinking about like, holy shit, am I tired? And maybe I want to take some time off.
Yeah, that's what I
but,
think it was more of a case of.
Like, I think he's more interested in playing with the other one, not Bronny, the with Bryce, because I think Bryce is way better.
But the thing, and a lot of people also do like real quick for Bronny, is he's going to USC and he's not a one and done level player. He's also going to be behind like one of the number 1 prospects in the nation.
Is he not one and done? I thought he was like 10 on the draft board, or maybe that's just because of the
maybe it might be a name thing, but a lot of people are thinking he wouldn't be a one and done type of guy because he's not going to get the minutes in order to get his draft ranking up again, other than like name. But there's a lot of people thinking since he's playing technically behind one of the better guards in the nation that he won't be a one and done guy. He might be like a 2 and done or 3 and done. I don't know. We'll have to see. He might set the world on fire at USC and change
the fact
everything.
that he went to USC, like, how does Ohio State drop the ball on that one?
Well, that too. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, so I think some people are also thinking this one in the gap year so that Bronny can come in. Like, I know Bronny's obviously on draft boards, but is that more because he's Bronny, or is it because they're anticipating him to show it at USC? Like, I'm not saying that anything against it. I think Bronny is really solid. I think, but I don't see him as like a one and done impact guy that will fly up the draft boards. But I could be wrong. He could prove me wrong.
I haven't looked enough at the next year's draft board other than that. The fuck is his name? That 6'10" guy who's I think he's Serbian. So I don't know. I'll figure it out after this draft. Who's in the next year?
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, LeBron. Interesting stuff with LeBron, and whatever he says is automatic news. And Brian Windhorst will go crazy for him, but definitely a matter of time to see what he does there. But speaking of the future and talking about draft picks, Alex, you were just at the NBA draft lottery in Chicago last week. That's why we missed you. And we really did. So just curious, would love to hear about your experience. And then we can have a balanced talk about some very early draft, NBA draft projections.
Yeah, so I was there just for work. I was helping out SiriusXM with their live coverage of the draft lottery. So I was there at Wintrust, or I was there at Wintrust for another event. And I was at the McCormick Center for lottery. I was on the first floor. A lot of lottery stuff was happening up on the second floor. But I got to go scope out the area. Place was awesome. The set that you guys see on TV was awesome. But yeah, it was a really cool experience because you just had like, when I was there at least, you just had like a feeling that it was like a historic event happening. Like everyone was juiced up, everyone's excited, everyone's smiling, everyone's like really, really into it. And it felt a lot different, right? Because like you hear this Victor Wembanyama kid as like the next big thing, and the whole thing is like
literally the best. Like literally, they're saying best prospect ever.
Yeah,
ever. Like, I'm like, not to exaggerate. They say,
yeah, no, like, and that's the thing. It's like we've been showcasing him on the NBA app, like all year. We haven't really done that. Like that was kind of a first, like showcasing a prospect like him to get eyes on him, and people were like, and even me, like right away, I'm like, oh, this kid's the real deal. And the whole day it was like, oh, what team's gonna get him? Like what? It was like everyone was excited because it was a historic day. We were wondering what this next all-time great prospect was going to land. And I feel like we were all kind of counting down the hours till the draft lottery. Like if that's how anticipated it was. And it was just like a really cool experience to kind of just see everything unfold in real time and the reactions and all that. And the hosts that I was working with were just going crazy. The Spurs, of course, landed the first pick in the draft, and they're getting Victor Wembanyama because of the history there. Because
It's like the
of course,
most perfect team.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
let's be real.
yeah,
There was a quote because apparently Manu, Timmy, and Tony are all coming in to work with him.
yeah.
And someone tweeted out that like if he'd gone to the Hornets, they would have brought in like Dieza Dijop and like Blair White. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have anybody for the Hornets. Like they bring Al Jefferson.
Maybe. I don't even know. But like with the Spurs connection too, Tony Parker, I believe, owns a team
He
in the
owns the
French
team that
league.
he yeah.
That
I
like
thought it was Boris D. I thought it was Boris Diaw who did.
like there's a
Or was
bunch
it
of
both
different
of them?
connections
Okay.
there. Like he like Tony Parker owns the team that Victor like started off with in the French league, that and then he moved to the team Mets '92 where he plays with now. So there's a connection there. There's a lot of really cool Spurs tie-ins. You know, Bruce Bowen was just on the NBA app on the show with talking Victor's playoff game and breaking it all down there and all that stuff there. So like there's a lot of Spurs tie-ins and it's like the perfect fit for him. We all kind of saw it happening. And I'm excited to see him with Spurs. Because like I said, I think that's like the best place he can be. Because I think if you look at some of the other teams, that I know was funny, like his reaction knowing he's not going to Houston. Like I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
saw
that would have been the worst place for him.
like him not going to Houston, and like you audibly like reacted like fist pump that he wasn't going to Houston. I know Jabari Smith put like noted on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, but Jabari Smith, you suck.
But it's like, but you know, we've seen time and time again like these big names and prospects get ruined not going to the best of organizations. And the fact that we're getting a generational talent, arguably, we have to see how he translates to the NBA. I think it's going to be a little bit of adjustment. I think people need to pump the brakes that like don't expect this kid to be like dropping 30 and 15 every night.
He's not going to be losing.
Yeah, it's not going to be like this crazy thing, but he's going to be good.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I agree. So there's all this. He's like, yeah, I want to win rings right away.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the Spurs have all this cap space. Should they try to win? I was like, just suck this year. Be bad this year. You got a ton of picks coming in. I think we still have two from two. We may have all of the Atlanta picks.
Yeah.
I think we won from Chicago. We got a couple of Hornets picks. He plays once a week.
Yep.
Right now, he's played like maybe a college amount of games. Like it's going to be
give or take. It's I think in that league, give or take, it's around like the college schedule, if you will.
Yeah,
plus
it's
playoffs.
like
it's not like a crazy long season. It's not an NBA season for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be totally, and they're going to come for him. Like he's going to be one of those guys that like people are going to want to like put their body into to make a point.
Yeah.
Like especially if they play the Grizzlies, like they're gonna try to like put like he's still thin, like he's still like thin and shit.
Yeah,
and this is part of why. Yeah, but like the kid is 19. He's 18, 19 years old. Like there's like 12 players in league history have come in with grown ass man bodies who haven't needed to put like a year or two in the weight room. Like I think just let him rock this year. See what you got. I do think trading for DeAndre Ayton might be a good idea. Just so that you have a guy under contract who doesn't have to, who can take the wear and tear that he has to take. And this was always the argument for, oh, should we trade Portal or not? Is because you know you if you get Victor, he's like the perfect dude to have there.
Yeah.
So like that's what I would do with this. But like the draft starts at 2, and this draft is like fucking wild. Like I have nobody has any idea what they're gonna do. I think Portland probably trades that pick. There's like almost no chance they keep this pick.
Yeah, that could be go to Chicago. The draft is deep. Maybe that I heard Chicago really wants it, or some other options there. I heard there will be some legit movement before the draft lottery at the end of June.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, again, if Portland does the right thing is to blow it up. And again, I'm going to reiterate this because this was my hot take from last time, and it remains the correct hot take. If they're looking for the best rebuild and the best place to send Dame, it's to Orlando for 6, 11, and whatever else makes the math work, or whatever other picks. That's the right place to send Dame.
And hitting on some of these draft pick, these these potential draftees. One thing you have to consider Brandon Miller, but what's his legal issues? People think that he
That's
might
why I
go as
want the
high as
Hornets to
second.
draft him. I want the Hornets to draft him so they can build the new Jailblazers.
Yeah. Because supposedly they're going to bring Miles Bridges back too. And I'm
yes, build the Jailblazers 2.0.
Yeah. It's like, what are you thinking, Charlotte? I don't know.
They should take Scoot. They should absolutely take Scoot.
We also have a lot of the big names coming in the draft are also coming from the G League. Not too many. I mean, of course, you have a hodgepodge of players from the D1 level, but also considering a lot of players who are in the G League, like a Scoot Henderson or the Thompson brothers. But there's also like a Cameron Whitmore from Nova. Who
Walker,
I think could be there.
Walker, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Anthony Black from Arizona. It's a nice mixture of people who are already professionals and people come from the college level.
I think Detroit needs to trade up because they kind of need that. Like they want either I mean Brandon Miller would be good, but I think getting Scoot or Ahmed is good. But neither of them are going past 4.
Yeah,
like Houston.
With Scoot, I think it would cause so much of a jam for Detroit though at the guard position for what they want.
Well, you could play Cade at the 3.
Well, true, you could.
He's big enough for that.
Yeah.
So you would have, in theory, enough shooting, but it's. I mean, they got Houston has to take a guard. They have to. If they take the other what is it? Asir the wing. Yeah, Asir's the wing. He would not fit on this team. And it looks like they're going to get James Harden. That appears to be because the report came out today that Houston's not going to or Philly's not going to give him the max, which I agree with. I would give him.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Give it to a franchise who's willing to have their time wasted. And it seems like this Houston team is after he embarrassed them, puts the fat suit on and everything. Then he just comes back because he knows he'll pay them. Might as well take it if I'm Harden.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. This is an interesting draft. There's going to be a lot. It's hard to predict because there's so much movement and stuff in the air. I think if Portland is going to build around this pick, I think Bradley Beal's the best target. I don't think they can get OG without other major stuff going out because apparently they turned down 3 first-rounders from Memphis for OG, so they're not going to do a first-rounder and Anthony Simons.
No.
So it's got to be Bradley Beal. It's got to be the only real moving target that they can get, right? I don't see who else they can get.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because it's they're in a really good spot, but at the same time, it's just
they're in a good spot to rebuild.
Yeah, I was saying, this is the perfect start for the rebuild, but we still have no idea what they're gonna do because they don't want to, for some reason, go down that avenue.
And it's ridiculous because you're not one guy away from a title. You're maybe one guy away from the playoffs.
Yeah. If they got Victor, that's still you're a playoff team. You weren't a Victor away of we're getting a title. We got Victor now. It's no, you're probably going to be a playoff team.
You're not a Brandon Miller. If Brandon Miller gets taken if Brandon Miller gets taken too, because if they're going to keep the pick, he's the one, right? You want him because he's going to fit in the wing because you have your 2 small guards.
Yeah.
They're gonna trade the pick. They're not gonna take Scoot.
No.
Or they're not gonna. I mean, maybe they take Ahmed. But
I wouldn't think they would necessarily. I wouldn't call Ahmed a reach anyway because it's
I wouldn't call him Ahmed. But the only reason I would say they would take him is because he's bigger.
Yeah, he's exactly. They'll go more need positional need than talent. If you will.
Right. And if you're going to keep in the lottery, then you trade down to get one of the big men because let's be honest, Nurkic sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you have to get a more consistent big man or something like that. Trade that. To me, other than Victor, I think Scoots and Miller. I say Scoot's a little bit more NBA ready. I think he's going to be more of an impact player right away. I think Scoot is really, really freaking solid. I would have take him number 2. But again, I understand why, he might fall to 3. So, that's the thing is like, if you're not going to take him and develop him, and he's arguably probably the best, like, the most ready NBA prospect other than Victor, you trade down and like get a bunch of assets because a team is going to want Scoot. Someone is going to want Scoot. Like, or you start your rebuild and you decide, okay, like it's time to part ways with Lillard and we get a bunch of assets and we take Scoot and we have, whatever. Like, it's just very weird because we have no idea. We just know, like, number 3 is out of all the picks, we pretty much know number 3 is most likely going to get traded before the start of the draft. Like, that's at this point, but we just don't know what we don't know what it's going to be for, but we feel like number 3 is going to be on the move.
And like I could see Charlotte doing 6 and 11 for 2.
Yeah,
like that's like a team that has multiple firsts could probably pry it out of them because they're not a scoot away from being good either. Like they got nothing on that roster.
Yeah, they need a lot of help, a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm the Pistons, I'm calling up Charlotte, and you could do like Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley, like Bogdanovich, and something else. They have like 12 forwards. They could figure out something.
They could throw some young former bust onto the mix to get it to work.
To get that pick. And then, or maybe they take back like Gordon Hayward's contract or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, do something weird. But they also have a bunch of center depth too. Like you said, like Stewart could be out of them. Like, like it's just
he's probably out anyway because I think he's up for an extension this year. He's probably up for extension this year.
Yeah,
and he's like their 3rd best big man
at this point in terms of potential. Yeah, I would say Stewart's probably.
Well, I mean, just in terms of talent, like Jaron Jordan's probably their best big man.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
And then I'm pretty sure Wiseman's probably better than Stewart.
Yeah, I would have Wiseman also potential too because the second half of the year was pretty solid. But I would say Stewart's a 3rd. So I think you have him be on the move too. I don't know. They have the assets to move if they really want to.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to cover this, and we'll do that at the end of June. June 22nd is the draft itself. But there's a lot of things to really look forward to, and especially once the finals finishes and these coaching vacancies are filled, we will see where the future is going. And speaking of those vacancies at this moment, what is it? There's 5 vacancies right now, and we have the Pistons available, the Raptors, the Suns, Bucks, and Sixers. So looking at some leads right now, let's start with the Sixers. Seems like I think Nick Nurse has the best chance of getting that job.
That's the worst situation.
Even with the experience
out of
in that division.
Openings, I think that's the worst one to go to. Like that.
Oh, you're talking about the Sixers in general, regardless of it. Nurse is a fit there.
If you could pick any of them, I think that's the worst one to go to. Like,
oh, for sure.
You don't know what you're getting with that team, and honestly, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, what they really should do is probably tear it down and just get a young guy to like figure it out.
Yeah, give one of these prominent assistants, maybe a college coach who's ready to take that step up and go there. Okay. Now how about in terms of ready now, even if you only have one season to do it with the Suns and you have that team that's up in the air, what do they do with Ayton? Obviously, can KD last the whole season? What's Chris Paul going to do? Do you think a Mike Budenholzer, if he decides to coach at all this year, we know he's unfortunately dealt with a bunch of tragedies in the past few weeks. Do you think he would be a good fit in Phoenix? No, or do we see like a Doc Rivers who interviewed for the job and is a finalist?
I don't know how Doc's a finalist. I love Doc. Don't get me wrong. But like if you're planning on keeping CP3, it's like that kind of didn't work when he was with they kind of bumped clash heads towards the end. I feel there.
And especially for a team that has flamed out as they have in the last 2 years to bring in Doc, that's something.
Yeah.
Like Nick Nurse is the answer.
Yeah. I think Nick Nurse, to me, I agree. I think Nick Nurse is the answer in Phoenix. Like he should be the hire in Phoenix in my eyes. I know they have the assistant coach that supposedly everyone loves, but I think for that team, you need Nick Nurse, who's have championship pedigree, has dealt with star players before. He knows that done. I like his system a lot. I think that's the best fit for Phoenix. Like, I think you hire Nick Nurse and you're not.
Yeah, Nick Nurse should either go to Phoenix or Milwaukee.
Yeah,
like that's
I think those are two landing
places.
spots.
And again, we talked about this last time. They should not have fired Monty Williams.
No, you know how I felt about them firing Monty. I was upset about it.
It really seems like an impulse decision by the new owner, just wanting to, get that win right away in Matt Ishaba.
It was like that was, you got to give a coach like a full season with, especially when you tear down the roster in the middle of the season and the shit he had to deal with. I think he would be like, he's probably the coach who's most flexible to go to any of these places. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he would do like just as good in Detroit as he would do in Toronto, as he would do it in Philly. Like, I think he's probably that type of coach. But Nick Nurse, I think, is a better coach. Especially like if you're looking for a win now team, I still think the Bucks are closer to winning a title than
I like Monty Phoenix. Going to there to specifically there to go to the Bucks. I think he would fit really well and be a nice, ironically, even though the team beat him in the finals, then he takes over, leads them to a championship themselves. That would be some pretty cool poetic justice. And also with the Pistons itself, with what they're going to do, with so many questions, still trying to get a legit roster going. I heard one big name could be Kevin Ollie, who led UConn to a national championship at 14, but we know that ended very ugly at UConn. And if he can't get some college players straight, could he do it with the professional people on the professional level too?
That's essentially a college team.
Yeah,
they have like other than Bogdanovich, like Nerlens Noel and Alex Burks, everyone else on that team is could still technically be in college.
So do you think that with the bad PR, would you give Ali this opportunity?
I mean, you need a young developmental, because you're not. Yeah, I also think Bud wouldn't be the right answer there either. No. But I don't give a shit. Hire Becky Hammond.
Yeah. I think you need a young. I agree. I think you need a young coach to grow with that team. You're not going to get a veteran coach to go there. You're not going to get a Budenholzer or a Monty or a Nick Nurse. You need a person that's going to also grow with those players. Someone like
Nash is going to match
Kenny Atkinson.
Kenny Atkinson. I like. Yeah, Kenny Atkinson's a great. We've seen him before. He's great with young talent and getting him to develop and play well. I think that's a good spot for him, because he's worked with young teams and developed them really well. So I think you just need someone like that, a younger coach or a coach that we've known in the past works well with young talent and really coaches them up, in order for that team to have success. You're not going to have success with a veteran coach. It's just not going to work with those guys.
They're too young
right now. They're too young.
And it's kind of the same with Toronto. Toronto is, you got to, if you're coming into that situation, you need a clearer picture. Toronto and Philly are the teams where you're okay, what exactly are we doing here? Am I, in Toronto, am I rebuilding, or are we trying to figure this shit out?
Yeah.
In Philly, who's coming back? Are you bringing Harden back? Is Embiid still going to be here? There's a lot of questions more than it is. But I think there's a Nick Nurse. There's good coaches left. I don't think there's. I think the problem is there's a lot of good win now coaches, but there aren't enough win now teams.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, for the openings, yeah. I was going to say something yeah, I can't say anything better than that. I agree. There's not enough yet.
Yeah,
one else, because there's a lot of question marks. Even with Milwaukee, it's you have Giannis, but there's a lot of other factors right now.
I think they're going to bring
Lopez, or you're going to bring Middleton back.
I think
they will, and they should. But that's the thing right now for some of these coaches' decisions is
they got to get younger. Yeah. That's their biggest issue.
You got to get those two guys back, and also get some young talent to infuse.
And you got to you need somebody who's going to kind of build Giannis back up, because I think he was kind of shook at the end of that series.
Yeah, I think the injury didn't help, and I also just think as well, when they won the title, it was because Middleton really stepped up for Giannis at times and hit like the big buckets or like had the big performances. And I think he just needs someone there that, other than like Drew Holiday or whoever else, that like he also can just like kind of relax and not have to put all the weight on himself to like will the team to wins. I think Milwaukee should hopefully look for that in like a young scorer or a young talent or something like that.
And also like what was it with Milwaukee? Damn it, I lost my train of thought. Like it's not like they weren't the best team. Like they were very good. It just was like it shit just kind of rolled downhill.
Yeah, it was like a fluky end. Yeah.
Oh, now I remember. The pairing of Giannis and Middleton. I was thinking about this. I was like, that's just what Jokic and Murray are. They're just better.
Yeah.
Like they're just a better version of Giannis and Middleton.
Yeah. Okay. And also Middleton's like injury history the last.
Yeah, his injury history is like scary as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like he's a guy you're not there. Like if they sign Middleton to like a multi-year deal, he's not going to be there for the entirety of that.
No way.
Like if you're gonna trade one of them between him and Holiday, Holiday might get you the more return, but he's the better guy.
He's the more reliable guy of the two for sure. If you're at the pick,
Yeah, I'm sure these vacancies will be filled when we cover the draft. So we'll see how the next few weeks go after that. And let's wrap it up with the announcement of the 9th leading scorer in NBA history has officially called it quits. Carmelo Anthony has retired from the NBA. And some things to point out in his illustrious career. He's a 10-time All-Star. He's made All-NBA second team twice, All-NBA third team 4 times. 3 gold medals, made the 75th anniversary team. He obviously won a national championship with Syracuse, and now we'll see where the future lies with him. Again, so both an up and down career, for me, definitely respect the guy, definitely have fond memories. Was he my favorite player I've ever saw? No. Am I a disappointed Knicks fan? He was never able to get us out of the second round. Of course. But, I do think he's earned enough accolades to get his number retired by the Knicks. I think the Knicks are the team he's most associated with. I understand you could argue that with Denver too, but he even had more shortcomings with them. But definitely a complicated history. But all in all, one of the best players we ever saw in our generation for sure. And you just wish he won a little bit more.
Yeah. So because I was going to ask you about his name in the Raptor, because I don't think he really deserves it.
I'm a Knicks fan and I agree, but I can explain.
But can we there's some
exactly.
So like Melo as a player is the same guy who they drafted in 2003 as retired in 2023. He's just less athletic. Like at no point did he become a better player or change his game in any way, shape, or form. He was really good at shooting, and he didn't change any part of that. Like that's just who he was. I also think it's like kind of poetic that like the best Nuggets team in history made it to the finals on the day he retires.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was. I thought that was
he's wearing his number, by the way, his Nuggets number.
So. Yeah, 15.
Like he was always. Like he never found the right spot in that he was never like because he signed that extension and he kept that extra year so he'd get the extra money so he wasn't out in the when the Heatles were formed and all that big year. So he was always like a little behind on that, and then he forced his way to the Knicks and he blew that shit up instead of like waiting 1 year. But like the raising his jersey, like why? Like he won more in Denver than he did in the Knicks. He made it in the conference finals one time. Like they lost to the 09 Lakers, but he did it. Like in the Knicks, like the legacy of Carmelo is he ran Jeremy Lin out of the team. You were really bad that year and ended up with Porzingis, and then ultimately that led to
he didn't put him under his wing.
You don't even get the pick. Like you didn't even get the pick from the Porzingis trade. Like that would have been the through line to him for whatever this new generation is. Like I don't even know. Like he was okay, but like what is the difference between like Carmelo Anthony and like Julius Randle really? Like other than everyone hates
Oh
Julius Randle
man.
now, they had essentially the same amount of success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say like the jersey and wrap thing for me is more of a legacy thing, like a Knick history thing. Like Bernard King's number is not retired by the Knicks, and I see Carmelo and Bernard King as very similar players, tremendous scorers. Carmelo obviously the better scorer of the two, but not like incredible postseason success and both fan favorites, right? And to me, it's like if you're gonna retire Carmelo Anthony's number, you better also have Bernard King in attendance and also retire his number at the same time because they were both very similar players. Where in their primes, they were fun Knicks to watch and exciting, but didn't translate to postseason success. And we've had fond memories of both of them. But to me, as much as I respect Melo and making the Knicks relevant, and at least for me, so at times very enjoyable to watch, yeah, I don't think he did enough to get the numbers, if his number up in the rafters compared to the very short list of Knicks that are up there. So that was kind of my thing. It's like I respect Melanie. He has some incredible Knick memories for me. The 62 against the Hornets. I remember the
The
two
three against the Bulls.
yeah, the two crazy
The
threes.
guns that
Yeah, like the two crazy threes against the Bulls. I was watching with my dad at the time, like we're on vacation or something, and it was like a Sunday showcase, and we were there just hanging out. And me and my dad just went absolutely bananas. It's like one of my favorite memories as a kid. Like me and my dad just him chucking that three, the first three against Bulls. Like no way that's going in. Hits it, and then in
that
overtime,
23rd look
same thing.
the team that
Yeah.
lost the Pacers was a fun team.
Yeah, like yeah, they were like fun to watch. It was exciting. So like, but like I said, I don't think he's done enough to get the number up there. If they do it, awesome. But I also hope they announce, like I said, they do to Bernard King because he deserves some flowers as well. But like I said, I respect him. Is he one of my favorites I watched? No, he's a tremendous scorer. He was so fun to watch when he was hot. Do I wish he had a better exit out of the league? Yes, I think he deserved a lot of respect that he ended up not getting because there's just a couple negative things about him. I think he deserved a nice little retirement tour, if you will, but he didn't get that. And I think that's a shame for a guy who's top 10 is scoring in the league. But I think everywhere he goes from here on out, people are respecting him. He'll get a standing ovation. He'll get his flowers. And I thought it was really cool. As much as a pressure it is on his son going forward, I think it was really cool to say, like, my kid is going to be the legacy going forward. So, like, I thought that was a really cool time because he just showed how much he cares for his family and his kids. And, yeah, like, great career. So fun to watch.
Yeah, arguably the greatest Olympic U.S. player
Exactly,
of all time.
that too. Like you can't understate. Like
they need to retire his number for USA basketball.
Like
yeah,
I have a USA Carmelo Anthony jersey. My mom gifted it to me because I loved Carmelo so much. Like one as like like I said, he was a Knick, but like I loved him every time he was with Team USA. Like I was glued to watching.
That was like the perfect role for him.
Yeah, like it was so fun to watch him. So I have a 15 or whatever. I think he wore 15 for USA. I have a Carmelo Anthony USA because I loved watching him play USA basketball with the Olympic team. Like he is arguably, like you said, like probably the best Olympian for men's basketball. But he's seen 3 gold medals and all. Like he deserves all the respect there too. Like I don't think a lot of people talk about that, but it's definitely something that's super impressive that he was part of those teams that won gold medals and was incredible to watch during those teams too. Even though that those teams are stacked, he made a role for himself on those teams.
Yeah, Hoodie Mello, Olympic Mello, like
Olympic Mello. Glad you could destroy Yugoslavia by 70 points. I was going to say Spain, but Spain actually, I think even defeated. They actually put us a fight. Spain and Australia were the two teams that somehow put a fight.
Now it's all those block countries because they got all the like the Jokic's, the
Serbia, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think, like I said, I think they're gonna retire his number solely on PR reasons. That'll be a sellout night. People go crazy. But Harry Styles has his number retired at Madison Square Garden now. He really does. For 15 shows, come on.
Billy Joel has his name up in the rafters.
That's understandable.
Billy Joel's way more impressive than Harry Styles having a banner up in the rafters of the Garden. Like, screw that.
Right.
That
Like,
it
he's
looks
not
so
even
bad.
American. At least
It
Billy
looks
Joel's
so
a New
bad.
Yorker.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And his stat is way more impressive than Harry Styles. I'm sorry, Harry Styles fans. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
I want that
no
thing to fall
apologies.
down, and they don't put it back up. That's how much I hate that thing.
Yeah, I need to see
Yeah.
the movie, like the concert movie of that. Like, how could it be that good? I know he's sold out for 15 nights, but like in a whole retirement. And that's why I think that they'll retire his number. It seems like they just want just any way to get people talking. And both valid points. There's just nothing special. And another thing, every single number retired except Ewing and I'm blanking on one, but every single one's an NBA champion too. And that's saying something. And I guess we're all about breaking traditions in that way, but only time will tell, gentlemen. But incredible stuff this evening. We'll see you a week from tonight to start covering the NBA Finals, and we'll see how long it will take to have the final matchup set. Have a great night, Alex and Faces, and thanks again.
See you guys later.
Have a good one.